Live from WTOC, the Southeast News leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Frightening moments on a Delta plane as a flight headed to Atlanta from Houston had to turn back because of an unruly passenger today. We'd like to welcome you all to The News on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Bankley. It happened on board Delta Flight 2557 today. The flight took off from Houston's airport en route to Atlanta with 85 people on board as well as 5 crew members. 30 minutes in, the pilot radioed air traffic control saying there was an emergency on board and that a passenger tried to access the cockpit. Passengers we're hearing from say several people managed to stop the man. They held him down, but not before he allegedly assaulted several passengers, including Josh Lenzis, who was traveling back home to Georgia.
30 minutes into it, I'm just sitting there, and a guy walks aggressively by me and aggressively back, and he bumps into my shoulder and starts completely wailing on my head. He punched me 3 times and then walked back and then started attacking another gentleman behind me.
He hit a lot of people, and I did not want him to keep attacking people, so I was just worried. And then the girls were crying. I think he stumbled on a couple girls or hit a couple girls, and they were crying.
Houston police surrounded the aircraft when it landed. Passengers on board were able to get to another flight, ultimately arriving in Atlanta about 30 minutes late, and Delta did put out a statement apologizing. Back here on the coast, a crash involving a Liberty County school bus shut down a major roadway for hours this morning. 13 students and 2 adults were on the bus when they were rear-ended, according to law enforcement. No students were hurt, neither were the 2 adults on board the school bus. Walthourville police say it was stopped on Talmadge Road when a Dodge Ram hit a Chevy Silverado behind it, setting off a chain reaction involving a Chevy Impala. The Liberty County school system says students were either transported safely to school or picked up by their parents. Police say the drivers of the 3 other cars were all injured. The Silverado driver was life-flighted out of the scene with major injuries. The 2 other drivers were taken away by ambulance. A trial is underway for a man accused of killing 2 people in Hardeeville. Charles Saunders is accused of shooting and killing 2 people at an apartment complex 2 years ago. The jury is hearing from first responders and investigators today about what they found when they first arrived and the evidence that was collected at the scene. Police say the shooting started after a fight outside of an apartment that later led to multiple shots being fired outside of another home. This trial is expected to continue for the next several days, and our Aaron Dixon is in the courtroom right now. You'll have the latest coming up during the news at 5 and 6 right here on WTOC and WTOC Plus. The man accused of killing a Hess K-8 teacher made his first court appearance yesterday. WTOC was the only station inside the newsroom. Cameras were not allowed, and Oscar Vasquez Lopez appeared virtually from the Chatham County Jail. Now, he's being charged with vehicular homicide and reckless driving. He will stay in jail after not being granted a bond. He appeared in a green jumpsuit with a public defender representing him. Jail staff said he was being held for detox due to his behavior. Prosecutors argue a Chatham County police officer and witnesses saw him run a red light before crashing into Davis. They say he was being pursued by unmarked ICE vehicles with flashing lights on at the time. His public defender pushed back, suggesting the pursuit may have been unlawful. The bond issue is expected to be revisited at a future preliminary hearing. And as the legal process moves forward, the community continues to respond. Protesters gathered in Forsyth Park last night following the death of Dr. Linda Davis. The Party for Socialism and Liberation held the event as activists spoke against federal immigration enforcement in Savannah. Several speakers questioned statements made by DHS officials following the tragedy. They are also against Congressman Buddy Carter's statements, saying they felt local concerns weren't being addressed. At the same time, many shared memories of Dr. Davis and the lasting influence she had on her students and colleagues. Organizers say they intend to keep the conversation going, though no future protests have been scheduled. In state news right now, testimony continues for day 3 in the trial of Colin Gray. He's accused of giving his son, Colt Gray, the AR-style rifle that was allegedly used in the deadly Appalachia High School shooting back in September of 2024. This morning's testimony mostly focused on how school officials responded after becoming suspicious of Colt Gray, dealing what happened leading up to the shooting to when Colt was arrested by school resource officers. Dee Martin, an assistant principal at Appalachia High School in 2024, took to the stand this morning. She recalled receiving an email from Colt's teacher at 8:46 the day of the shooting about a student asking about active shooter drills, saying in part, quote, "I thought that was an odd question. The student is Colt Gray. He's in the 9th grade." Martin later met with the teacher who said she was nervous and that Colt's book bag looked kind of heavy, like something was in it. Martin says she contacted the school resource officers. She mentioned not knowing what Colt looked like since he was a new student and initially pulling the wrong student who had a similar name. She says after speaking with a counselor about Colt, she learned just how serious the situation was.
She said a lot of things, but all I really understood was that he had access to weapons. Okay. So at that point, I went to Miss Boyd's office, still in the counseling suite, shut the door, called my principal, and said, I think we've got a situation.
Now, the defense claims that officials dropped the ball, pointing out that the assistant principal didn't ask Colt's teacher what he looked like. They also argue the SRO didn't have a description, which could have helped find him sooner. Well, an 18-year-old from Georgia is now facing multiple charges after investigators say he ran toward the U.S. Capitol with a loaded shotgun. Joe Gorcho with our sister station reports.
Police tape guards the Capitol following a brief pursuit to arrest Carter Camacho from Smyrna.
This individual was challenged by United States Capitol police officers and ordered to drop the weapon, which he did comply with.
Shortly after noon on Tuesday, U.S. Capitol Police Chief Michael Sullivan said the 18-year-old allegedly exited a car and ran toward the Capitol with a loaded shotgun. Police quickly surrounded the Smyrna teen, bringing him into custody on the Lower West Terrace of the Capitol building.
He laid down the weapon and then laid down on the ground.
Chief Sullivan revealed that the weapon was not the only thing police say Camacho had on him.
This individual had a tactical vest on. He also had tactical gloves, and when we looked in the vehicle, he had a Kevlar helmet and a gas mask in the vehicle. He had additional rounds on his person.
What Camacho might have been planning remains uncertain, but Chief Sullivan credits officers' quick action for preventing someone from getting hurt. Just last summer, they held an active threat exercise at the precise location where Camacho was stopped. Chief Sullivan said part in a statement, quote, "These now routine exercises are planned monthly and in different areas of the Capitol complex to keep our officers ready for potential threats just like this." Camacho now faces multiple charges, including unlawful activities, carrying a rifle without a license, unregistered firearm, and unregistered ammunition.
Joe Gorcho, Atlanta News First.
Well, under the Gold Dome, Georgia lawmakers are working to make sure you don't foot the bill for data centers. New legislation just passed Georgia's state house. House Bill 1063 would require power companies to protect residential and retail electricity customers from costs associated with data centers. The legislation passed the House yesterday and is now moving to the state Senate for consideration. It's just one of many bills targeting data centers, including measures that could end tax breaks for the facilities and place a year-long moratorium on the construction of new data centers in Georgia. And the debate over data centers is also reaching southern parts of Georgia. Leaders in Irwin County are considering a project and whether it would expand the county's tax base. Right now, it heavily relies on home and land owners to fund services, but concerns about how much water the project would need are rising as people push back. The local Riverkeeper organization argues it would make water levels in rivers and springs even lower than they already are. And people in Columbus are also voicing their own concerns about how a data center there could impact the Chattahoochee. Amaya Graham has the debate focused on a $5 billion project and its potential impacts.
The Development Authority is teaming up with Habitat Partners to bring a data center facility to Muskogee County. But this isn't just any development project. Choose Columbus CEO Missy Kendrick says they're being very intentional about where and how this facility is built.
So it's an area that borders Harris County and Talbot County, and also Columbus, Muskogee County.
Kendrick says right now they are working to see if there is enough water, sewer, and power capacity in that area. Right now, Columbus uses 31 million gallons of drinking water a day, with the city being a mill town in the 1800s. President and CEO of Columbus Waterworks, Jeremy Cummings, says the city is equipped to do 90 million gallons a day.
We're using about a third of the water that we could be selling, that we have the water infrastructure in place to do.
Many residents in the community shared their thoughts on social media, from being in favor of it to not wanting a data center at all. Many of those concerns were, would residents of Columbus be footing the bill for Project Ruby?
We're not paying any incentives, no inducements, no tax breaks, no nothing.
There should not be an impact in our customers' bills.
Another concern is how this data center will impact our environment in the long run. Kendrick says one of their main focuses is making sure the data center is ran on a closed-loop water system. I spoke with the Science for Georgia scientist Amy Sharma to share some insight.
If it's like fully closed loop, then they just fill up the system once. They put a bunch of coolants in it, like the coolants that you have in your air conditioner, and then it doesn't end up using a lot of water.
Project Ruby is expected to be complete in 2028, using nearly 90,000 gallons a day. Fast forward to 2035, and it would use nearly 260,000 gallons a day. The Development Authority is teaming.
Georgia's top prosecutor just launched an investigation into Roblox, the online gaming platform used by millions of kids every day. Attorney General Chris Carr says he's looking into whether Roblox is violating Georgia state consumer protection laws and endangering children. It all comes after repeated reports of child abuse and exploitation on the platform. Earlier this year, Georgia state troopers rescued 2 Florida girls who disappeared after connecting with a stranger on Roblox. Carr says, quote, predators are using online platforms like Roblox to go after our children, and we're fighting back. As part of the investigation, Carr's office sent Roblox a civil investigative demand seeking documents on child safety, moderation, and age verification. Well, Mark Zuckerberg takes the stand today in a landmark civil case about kids and social media. The CEO of Meta denies allegations that Instagram is designed to be addictive and that kids are not protected. CBS's Jolene Kent has details from Los Angeles.
Today in Los Angeles, Facebook co-founder and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is taking a stand before a jury to defend his company. The plaintiff, a woman with the initials KGM, alleges that Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube were intentionally designed to be addictive, with infinite scrolling, autoplay, and recommendation algorithms.
She died because they kept feeding her the content nonstop.
Lori Schott's 18-year-old daughter, Annalie, died by suicide. Schott is suing Meta and 3 other companies in a separate lawsuit over what she says her daughter was exposed to.
Her algorithms were changed, and it would start sending her content that said, here's a gun and 2 bullets. Why don't you take your life? All your pain will be gone.
Zuckerberg's testimony is likely to focus on how his platforms protect users. The defense has argued that mental health issues, not the platform's designs, have influenced plaintiffs. Melody Dinshar is a tech lawyer at UCLA.
There have been comparisons that this trial is the new big tobacco trial. What do you think?
Yes, I think that's a very apt comparison. A trial like this one will hopefully uncover the disconnect between what companies say publicly to drive up business and engagement and what is actually going on behind the scenes.
In a statement to CBS News, Meta says it strongly disagrees with the allegations, citing their commitment to supporting young people with built-in protections. YouTube's parent company Google says the allegations in these complaints are simply not true. But for some parents, any verdict will be too little, too late.
We all need to take a stand against this because these algorithms can change so quickly and take children down places that they can never crawl out of.
The plaintiff here in the LA case also sued Snapchat and TikTok. Those companies settled outside of court before the trial began. And so many parents and teenagers are telling us they're just looking for change on these platforms. They hope this lawsuit and the verdict can bring that. And many of them also in favor of a possible social media ban for teenagers. Jolene Kent, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Well, the entire nation is reacting to the loss of civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson. In Georgia, the cradle of the civil rights movement, Jackson's influence certainly runs deep. Many state lawmakers that we're hearing from say they wouldn't be in their positions without him. Jackson is known for his work with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he also founded the Rainbow Push Coalition, an organization that empowered marginalized communities. He ran for president twice in 1984 and again 4 years later in 1988. Reverend Markle Hutchins calls him a mentor.
I will continue to do what he taught me to do. I will continue to be light in dark places and heat in cold places, as he used to say. I will continue to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves and give voice to the hopeless. I will continue to keep hope alive because that's what he would want me to do.
In a statement, the King Center called Reverend Jackson a towering figure in the struggle for racial and economic justice. Jackson was 84 years old. Well, before we sign off here on WTOC Plus, wanted to tell you about an event coming up tomorrow. On Tybee Island, it is time to flock to the beach for some feathered friends. The second annual Tybee Shorebird Festival will run tomorrow through Saturday. The free event is hosted by the Conservation Sciences Center and the Tybee Island Marine Science Center, and it celebrates the spring migration of shorebirds that stop along the Georgia coast to rest and refuel. Experts say protecting the birds helps safeguard coastal biodiversity and boosts ecotourism. People will join guided beach walks, get science training, there will be online trivia, and the family-friendly festival on Saturday with live music. And with that, we're going to wrap things up here for the news on WTOC Plus. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We'll be back in just about 45 minutes for Welcome to Our Community with Dawn Baker. In the meantime, you can always check out our website for the latest updates at WTOC.com. Thanks for watching, and here's Local News Live.